Greetings everyone. I just wanted to do a quick video sharing my recent purchases of two Baikal CO2 pistols I recently purchased. One is a Generation 4, which is the nickel-plated version you see here, and the other is the Generation 5, which is the blued version, which you see here. Now, I just want to start off by saying I'm by no means an expert on these pistols. I'm more of a collector, but, I will share some little tidbits of information with you. Let's start with the Generation 4, which is the nickel-plated version. As you all know, these are made side by side right next to the real firearm in the Baikal factory in Russia. And look, I don't have to tell you, this is quite a beautiful piece. Okay, it's very heavy, made from real gunmetal, just like the real firearm. Okay, and one of the unique characteristics of all the generations is the little scratch mark by the safety lever. Okay, I guess the Russians don't really care about refining their products too much, so that's something that's characteristic of all the generations, where they leave that little scratch mark there. I think it's pretty cool personally. It doesn't bother me. But anyway, as you could see, quite a beautiful piece. And these Baikal CO2 pistols are quite rare collectibles in North America and the United States in particular. They're pretty hard to get your hands on. So there's your Generation 4. And now here's the Generation 5, which is the blued version. I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of these here in the States, and the person I purchased it from was nice enough to include a set of authentic Baikal Makarov grips. So this is off an actual pistol, these Baikal grips right here. And comparing the two, I would have to say the Generation 5 is heavier. It seems to be a better built gun. Well, why do you ask that? Well, the only way I could explain it is the slide. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the slide real quick. Okay, yeah, I know I have CO2 in there. I shouldn't, but I do. Okay, so we'll take the slide off. Oop, okay, and here are the innards of the gun. As you can see, it's made from mostly authentic Makarov parts, just like the real firearm. Okay, but the cast, the top slide is, I believe it's casted. I don't believe it's machined. So it is a little bit thinner, I believe, a little bit lighter, a little bit cheaper. That's the bottom line. But still, a very, very well-made pistol. Okay. Okay, here's the clip. Yeah, I know I'm fully loaded, and I have CO2 in there. I shouldn't be doing it like this, but hey, alright, I guess don't try this at home, okay? There, I said it. But like I said, I'm not an expert on these pistols. I'm more of a collector. Okay? And now we have the Generation 5. And like I said, holding them both, I would have to say the Generation 5 is a better made pistol. Okay, we'll take this one off. See, it's a little more difficult, too, to take off. And it does have a more heavy-duty spring to it. But, as you can see, the parts are the same on the inside. Okay, and if you look closely, I don't know if you could see it, but there are machine marks on the inside of the slide, which tells me that this was a machine slide. This slide might actually be off a real firearm, but I have no way of knowing that, but it just feels like it. So, and also this slide is a little more difficult to put on than the Generation 4. It took a little practice for me to get correct, but yeah, like I said, that was difficult. Okay. 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 And both versions, they come with a package of BBs, 200 BBs in the package. And if you're a collector, I wouldn't recommend opening this. You want to retain this piece's value. So I have no intention of opening these BBs. Comes with an extra seal, the Generation 5 does. And of course the paperwork instructions. And what I really like about these purchases is the fact that the person in the Baikal factory who inspects the pistol actually stamps the paperwork. Mine was inspected by, who's that? Lukin, A.V. Lukin. So, if you're listening, A.V. Lukin, a big shout out to you! Okay, so, thank you. Alright, put that back. So, the Generation 4 also comes with the BBs, the inspection stamp, but for some odd reason I didn't get an extra seal for the CO2 bulb. I don't know why, but I didn't, and I've been looking around for spare seals and O-rings for these pistols, but they're not easy to come by. So anyway, there they are. And oh, one more thing I want to share with you. These pistols are very finicky to the types of ammunition they use. You know what? Let me grab it and I'll tell you about it right now. Okay. Okay. All right. From all the information I've read online, all right, there are a lot of sources that recommend using lead BBs in these pistols because being that they're made from real authentic firearm frames, they have rifled barrels. So every online source that I've read suggested that you use lead BBs for these guns because it will preserve the rifled barrel. Steel BBs, they say, are too hard and it will wear out the rifling. So I purchased the lead BBs, and I gotta tell you, I don't know if any of you guys out there had a similar experience with these, but it was nothing short of a disaster. Okay, the lead BBs are slightly larger. They're not perfectly round, like say the steel BBs are, and it was resulting in multiple jam ups. Every 3 or 4 shots, I was getting a jam up. Then at one point, I couldn't get the clip out of one of the guns out of the Generation 4, and I had to actually force it out. And luckily, it didn't cause any damage to the pistol itself because the lead was very soft and it just squished. But anyway, lead BBs are not the way to go, regardless of what you may be reading. So I felt that a good compromise would be these Excite BBs, which are copper-coated lead BBs. Okay, they're soft like the lead, but they have a copper coating over them. And I used these, and I didn't experience a single jam up. Everything works fine with these. The steel BBs, these in particular, the Umarex, for some odd reason, when I used these, it was shooting 2 BBs at one shot sometimes. So even though the clip held 13 BBs, I was only getting 10, 11 shots. I can't tell you why that was happening, but it was. But it seems that these BBs work the best. Excite, low ricochet, copper coated lead BBs, and everything works fine, beautiful, no incidents. So like I said, these pistols seem to be very finicky to the ammunition they use. And that's it. If you have any questions, please post them, and I'll do my best to answer them. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm more of a collector, and these pistols are indeed very highly sought after collectibles by, CO2 gun collectors and users. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Look at those bakelite grips. Oh, la gente. Look at that. See, it has the cutout on the slide. Actually, when I bought this pistol, you could see some wear on the slide, even though it was a brand new pistol. So I'll leave you guys to speculate about why that is. Okay, get a good look at that. And the Generation 4. Okay. Notice that the Generation 4 and the Generation 5 have a slightly different slide. They don't have, the Generation 4 doesn't have the cutout that the Generation 5 has, as you can see. Okay. And as far as the packaging goes, let me move these out of the way. Okay, as far as the packaging goes, the Generation 5 came with the well-known Baikal wax paper. That's what they wrap them in. I don't know why, but they do. And you might want to hold on to that. Don't throw it away. It adds to the charm, I guess. Okay, and then it comes in a pretty cool Baikal box. You see here. And the Generation 4 came in a foam-lined plastic case, as you see here, with the Baikal logo on there. And that's it. The Baikals, Generation 4 and Generation 5, respectively. There you have it.